Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Elizabeth Cohen. Some people call me Dr. Liz. Some people call me Dr. E. I've been trying out some rebranding and nothing's really stuck, like more than the other. Um, but I respond to a lot of different things, appropriate and inappropriate. So yeah, I'm going to be your instructor for this class. It actually used to be COMM 305, but we changed it to COMM 205 so that there's not weird restrictions on who could take it. But the content is pretty much the same. You're going to learn about how to appreciate film and television in case you don't already. So, as you know, we are not meeting in person for this first lecture, and there's a very, very good reason for that. I get really annoyed during the first week of class when, technically it's still drop ad period, so people can not be in the class and then they can add it and then come next week. But by that time, they've already missed the equivalent of like two classes if it's a twice week class or one class, if it's this one. Um, and it's annoying because it's unfair to the people who like actually came to class and had to sit through whatever gobbledygook I'm saying. But also it's like super annoying because people are like, oh, did I miss anything? And it's like only like 2.5 hours of my time, man. So I do this for a lot of my classes where I'm just like, syllabus day is online. Everybody can watch it, even if they add the class late. You can do it in the comfort of your own home. There's still work to be done, though. So there's like a tiny little lecture after I talk about the syllabus, and you do have to take a syllabus quiz. So the things I'm saying here are super important. If you don't want to see my face, I totally understand. You could listen to this on, your phone and have earbuds in, whatever, however you want to consume it. But I want everybody to just watch this, but just sometime in the first week, and then you don't have to come to our class, which although it is a lovely classroom and there's plenty of room to spread out, so don't let that worry you. Okay, so like I said, we're just going to go through the syllabus a little bit, or at least the things that I think are the highlights of the syllabus, things I want you to know to expect in the class and things like that. And then I'll give you like a very, very short lecture that just kind of sets up what we're going to be doing in the class. So first, who am I? Who is Dr. E? So I am a media psychologist. So like a lot of, professors that you have in this university, half of what I do is teach, and then half of what I do is research. And the type of research I do is on the psychology of how people respond to different types of media, especially entertainment media. So film is obviously a sort of relevant thing. I was a film minor when I was an undergraduate student, and so I really got into it then. And then I started getting into more psychology in graduate school, and I sort of merged those two things. So that's the kind of stuff I do. I'm an associate professor. I've been at WVU since 2012, and I like animals a lot. I have three dogs. I've got two pugs, Fergus and Spike. They're actually on the floor here. You can see them in the little baskets, little puggy baskets. I have a Great Pyrenees named Jolene who watches the chickens. I don't know if you can see her. Oh yeah, you see, she's kind of like sleeping there. And then the chicken coop is out there. They're up today because chickens really don't like snow. Um, I don't know why. I have theories about that, but that's not my area of specialty. They don't really watch the media, so I don't study them. But and then I have a cat named Eggnog that Jolene found in the chicken coop. Eggnog, because it's on brand with the whole egg thing. So. So that's me. Now we have like some rapport here. So let's talk about the class a little bit. So okay, so this is all about appreciating motion pictures, and we're going to talk about what that doesn't mean in a little bit. Um, we have teaching assistants for this class, but you're probably not going to see them. They are going to be helping me grade at various points in the semester. They are former students who did really well in this class, so they're qualified to do this. And maybe you one day could be a research assistant for this, sorry, a teaching assistant for this class if you're lucky. Um, I have office hours. Like I'm going to say, I technically have office hours. I do technically have office hours. I'm kind of weird about office hours because I don't get them in today's day and age where it's so easy to make contact with people. I'm happy to set up an appointment anytime you want to meet. The thing about office hours is like if you come and then other people are coming, then everybody has to wait. So I prefer appointments, but I guess if you need to know that I will be in my office, I'll always be in my office. I'll let you know if there are exceptions. After basically right before this class. But again, if you want to like set up a time to talk, even if it's like virtual, it doesn't have to be in person. Just email me and we can just set something up. Office hours are weird, but I gotta have them. And where we are, so our class this semester is in Ming Shea Hall. There's that little bridge that goes over University Avenue. Right across from the bridge, the old business school is now called Field Hall. That's where my office is. It's weird in there. If you've ever seen like Silo or Fallout, it's sort of like they've got this underground sort of like atrium type thing. I don't know. It's not really underground, but you feel like you're underground. Although I have a lovely window. My whole office is great, honestly, if you want to come by. But if not, I could just send you pictures or something. So, okay. Course materials. Great news on this front. Okay. First of all, you need eCampus, but WVU gives that to you. I put a lot of stuff on eCampus. All of your assignments, all of your grades, all that stuff will be on eCampus. The readings, however, are free. I use a open access textbook for this class, so you can just get it online. And honestly, having an online textbook is great for a lot of reasons. Affordability being one of them, but also because this is a film class, it's cool because like they can actually embed clips to illustrate some of the concepts. I use some of those clips in my lecture, so you might see them more than once. Anyway, if you don't want to do it online, you can also download it as a PDF, but you don't need to buy anything. And there are some other readings too that I'll have throughout the semester. If I have other readings that aren't in the book, then I just post them on eCampus for you. Okay, so the point you've always been waiting, the moment you've all been waiting for, what is the grade all about? So what I want to kind of point out here is that, by the way, this is all on your syllabus in case you haven't figured that out. I think I forgot to mention that. Basically, all the points you can get in this class is like a little over 200. So if you look at this, you'll see that like most of the points come from two different sources. You've got two analysis papers that you're going to have to write in this class. One is going to be at the midterm and one is going to be at around the final, last week of class. These little papers that you'll write at home, and you'll get to pick like whatever you want to analyze, and then you just sort of apply concepts to write a little essay. Don't have AI do it. I've got some workarounds about that. I really want you to try to do it on your own. As Mr. Rogers would say, use your imagination. And then the other big component are these quizzes. So you need to do 10 of these quizzes in order to get to the 100 points. Now, if you look in, and actually, I don't think I put this in the PowerPoint slides, but once you get your syllabus, and you can look at this yourself. Can you see this? There's like a course schedule here. And what you'll see when you look down here is like basically every lecture we have, there's a quiz to go with it. But there are more quizzes than there are more than 10 quizzes, and I'm only requiring 10. The way I want you to think about this is quizzes are not exactly attendance quizzes, but they kind of are. If you show up to class, what's going to happen is every time you come, I'm going to pass out paper quizzes. And then as I go through my lecture, you're going to get the answers for the quiz. Now, you still have to use your brain a little bit, right? I'm not going to always be like, hey, here's the answer. Like the whole point is I want you to pay attention. But it's kind of like a workbook activity. If you show up to class, you can just kind of go through the lecture, fill out the quiz, and normally, I'm just telling you, like it's not unusual for people not to get a perfect score on the quizzes, but most people are getting 8 to 10 points every week, okay, if they show up and do it. But let's say you don't show up, and so you don't get a quiz that day. Not a big deal because I'm offering more quizzes than 10. So there should be at least 13 quizzes in the class, which means that if you need to miss class on a certain day, it's not necessarily going to hurt your grade if you miss the quiz. There are no makeup quizzes. So, if you miss like a lot of class, yeah, you might actually have a quiz grade that's a 0. But otherwise, what's going to happen is all semester long, you get quiz grades. Let's say that you actually do all 13 quizzes. At the end of the semester, I download a spreadsheet with everybody's grades. And if you have 13 quizzes, I delete I only take 10, so I'll delete the three lowest grades that you have, basically. So I'll take the best performance that you do. But just again, to reiterate how I think about this, quizzes are based on attendance. So you can look at them as like attendance and attention checks. So half of the battle for this class is just showing up. Now, one of the things is this is a film class. So a lot of what we're going to be doing, it's very common for me to do like an hour lecture and then an hour of us screening something, like watching a television show or a movie or something like that. Um, when that happens, I will often have, questions on the quiz that pertain to whatever we're watching. So it behooves you to stay. But when the lights go out and the screening happens, a lot of people like to leave early. That's fine, but I'm going to automatically deduct points if you leave early. And I know that's kind of a bitchy thing to do, but is it? Because if I'm basically kind of giving you, I'm going to say free points just for being there. If you can't stay and, stay for the screening, it's not really fair to everybody who is. It's disruptive, all these things. I'm not going to judge you for leaving, but I'm also not going to give you full points. So again, back to the quizzes, think of them like participation points. You can miss several classes during the semester and still end up with 100% of your quiz grades, but only to a certain extent. And if you leave early, I'm going to deduct possibly up to 50%. It kind of depends on how early you leave and whatever, but you just bring your quiz up. I'll go over this in person too. I have a little box of shame. I kind of want to decorate it, but I haven't done that yet. Okay, so those are the main things: quizzes and papers. Show up, do the quiz, write your papers. You're already like doing pretty good. There's a couple of other miscellaneous things that you need to worry about this week specifically, though. There's a syllabus quiz. So I'm going to quiz you on some of this information. That's worth 15 points. So that's like a quiz and a half. Also, I have these, it's kind of like a pre-test and post-test. This is really easy, and I actually do not grade you on accuracy. This writing about film assessment, notice there's one at the beginning, and then there's going to be another one, and that's going to be at the end of the semester. They're worth 5 points. It's basically just like having you write about, I'm going to have you watch something, and then I want to see you write about it a little bit. It doesn't matter how good you are at it. It's actually, for me, it's to give me a sense about like what's your natural, how do you write about these things before you take the class, so then I can compare it to how you write about it at the end of class. But again, I'm only grading you on effort. So what you're going to do this week is I've posted an episode of a show called Black Mirror, which some of you may have seen. And actually, it's a bootleg recording. So if you have a Netflix account, I highly recommend you doing that instead. Like just watch it through your Netflix account because the recording is not as good, but it'll help you do the assignment. You watch the episode and then you click on this survey and it's going to ask you a few questions. It should probably take you about 15 minutes. The episode is about an hour, and that's your assignment for this week. That and the syllabus quiz. Okay. Um, I think that's it. Oh, there's a quiz this week too, I believe. So whatever, I'll double check that. Okay, and this is so this kind of reiterates what I was just saying about the quizzes, which is that like it's not exactly, there's not exactly an attendance policy for this class. I don't take attendance, but those quizzes kind of function as a attendance check, right? If you turn in a quiz, if you turn it in early, I know you left early, all these things. So there's not like an official attendance policy. There's not an official participation policy, but those quizzes, if you just show up and do the quiz, it's basically like attendance. Um, but the other reason I will say, like, it's not, I'll have these lectures. I'll even post the PowerPoint slides of the lectures online. And if you miss them, it's not necessarily the end of the world because there's no exams in this class, right? You're not going to be tested on material that you miss. However, it still might behoove you to take notes because you do need to apply these concepts for the two papers that you need to do during the semester. Maybe papers, it's like a long essay, right? It's going to be about 5 pages. Double space though. So, if you want that and you're going to miss class, you are going to want to have somebody like take notes for you and stuff. But anyway, okay. Um, Another thing I like to just sort of bring up is you do need to monitor your own academic progress in this class. And the reason I bring that up is because eCampus is going to try to do it for you. But remember how I told you that I am going to end up dropping some of your lowest grades? I might. Um, like if you like do 12 quizzes when I'm only taking 10, I'm going to drop them. eCampus doesn't know that. Like eCampus doesn't like understand how the syllabus is set up, so it's only going to it's going to try to calculate all of your points, and it's going to give you an inaccurate um, idea of what your grade is. But it is really easy to calculate your own grade. It's really just about adding up all of your points and then dividing by the total that is offered throughout the whole semester and then multiplying it by 100. I'm happy to walk you through that process if you want to do it. I will submit midterm grades too, which will kind of give you a general sense of your standing, but it'll be kind of imperfect because even if you miss a lot of quizzes at the beginning, you still might have a chance to make those up at the end, depending on, how much class you come to at the beginning and how much you come to at the end. So anyway, just be aware that eCampus might not give you the most accurate grade. Um, and listen, this is a film class. We're going to be watching a lot of stuff, and I'm not going to lie to you. Your film professor does tend to have, I don't want to say I have graphic taste. It's not like I'm looking for stuff that's like really violent or sexually charged or anything like that, but I'm kind of desensitized to a lot of gritty stuff. So some of the stuff we see is going to be kind of like disturbing. Actually, one of the first major screenings we're going to have is a horror film, a classic one though. And listen, if you don't like horror, where do I get in here? I know you don't, but this is like not, we're not watching it to scare people or whatever. We're watching it because it's a classic film, The Shining. And it's like there's like blood in there, It's like I'm gonna try my best to do content warnings before we watch something. I'm gonna just not because it's trigger warnings and things like that aren't a license to not see things. It's more because I want to make sure that everybody is prepared for what they're about to see. Because sometimes it's like if you're not expecting something, it's like, whoa. But if you can kind of mentally prepare yourself for what's going on. So I'm going to try to do that as much as possible. But if you have any specific concerns or anything like that, just reach out to me and I'll try to, give you a heads up with anything that you need to make yourself feel a little bit more comfortable. Okay. So what's this class really all about? You probably know, I'm using, terms like film, cinema, motion pictures, even, TV, things like that, like video, all of these things are moving images. It's basically, we're not having a still photography class, right? If there's like movement and it's recorded, some sort of visual, then like it fits in what we're talking about. That said, we're mostly going to be talking about film and television, including streaming and stuff. I'm going to have history that like talks about like, everything from silent film all the way up to, we'll be talking about the Marvel franchise, like things like that as we go through everything. But that's what this is. I mean, moving image is just basically, I'm going to say film, television, and video. Video games too, but we're going to talk less about video games, not because I don't want to, just because we don't have time. Um, and the way the class is kind of set up, a lot of it is trying to teach you to think about how the things that you see in moving images kind of has its own language and how you probably already know this language because you've been watching film and television your whole life, most of you. And as you've been watching it, you've just in the same way that most of us have learned to talk, right? Just by having conversations with people, you've learned to read the cinema by just watching it over and over again. So you have sort of like a general sense of the different cues that are trying to communicate something or make you feel something. But what this class is trying to do is trying to kind of deconstruct that and help you give you a vocabulary for understanding what that cinematic language is, and also help you understand the mechanics of how it works. Like, yeah, I know that I was feeling kind of like weird or anxious during the scene, but I'm what we're trying to do is like give you a better idea of what happened within that scene, within that frame, within whatever, to make you feel that way. Um, so yeah. Um, Oh, and I just I'm looking at my own notes here because I forget. And the other thing I'd say is like I am going to be talking a lot about history throughout the semester too, because I want you to see how things have sort of changed. Like, yeah, we have this basic language, but as technology changes, the language changes, and even our psychology like evolves to better or well, I pretty much to better understand, right, the language that comes out of those technological advancements. So we'll be talking about a lot of that too. Um, so just thinking about, what is there to appreciate about this stuff? I mean, I know that most of you like probably watch film and television mostly for entertainment. Fine, that's good. But appreciation actually isn't about entertainment. A lot of times those things go hand in hand. Appreciation is more like you might not even think it's entertaining. You might not even like it, but there are other things that you can get out of it. So, moving images, one thing that they can be appreciated for or uh, understood through is their ability to be a historical document. Again, we're going to be talking about a lot of history. The other thing is about how they are artifacts of like a technological development. So we're going to be talking a lot about how changes with our technology is related to changes in not only what we watch, but how we assess the content. Well, even actually, like I have an example up here about this is like the Nixon Kennedy debates, which you can't see because my head's here. Let me move me for a second. The Nixon Kennedy debates right here. And that's we're not going to get a lot into politics or anything, but the reason I like talking about that is because it really shows about how like when broadcast television started um, showing us politics on TV, it actually changed our politics, right? So what we see in these moving images actually can have ripple effects into like other, other contexts that are represented on those moving images. And then, of course, they are artistic, right? Sometimes it's bad art, but that's the thing. Like appreciating whether it's bad art or good art. The idea is this is art. These are creations. These are human creations that are supposed to reflect reality, but also, you know, can be appreciated for its aesthetic, right? Like how beautiful it is or what sort of emotional impact it has. So that's all about appreciation. Um, and these are sort of the goals of the class, appreciation. I just want okay, I didn't do this last year. I looked at my teaching evaluations from when I taught this class last semester, and this was one of my favorite ones. It was nice. Like a student wrote about how my class was fine. I mean, that's better than not fine, right? Some of the things they learned were interesting and beneficial, but some were so boring. Um, there's a movie that I showed and a documentary that they said was actually the worst thing they have ever seen in their life. They were almost in tears watching it. Um, that does make me think about whether I want to show it again, but I thought about it and I'm going to show it again because the point is, and I hate, it's not, we're going to watch some stuff that I think you're going to love. There might be other things we watch that you don't really love, but again, appreciation isn't about loving something. It's not necessarily about how much you would even want to see it again. It's about like, can you sort of understand, what's unique about something, or again, what role it has in history, or can you understand how it was pretty incredible how they set the narrative up like this, or whatever. There's 1,000 things to appreciate. I'm sorry, my dogs are hacking. They hack a lot. There are a lot of things to appreciate that may not be the same as enjoyment. But then, I mean, I will say this. I think that the idea ultimately is like the more appreciation you can have for film, the more likely it is that you'll be able to enjoy these things later. Um, okay, so that's it. I know that was a little long, but look, we just finished our first lecture and you didn't even have to get out in the snow, which I'm assuming the snow is going to be here for a while. I'm recording this on Thursday and our first class is on Wednesday. And looking at the weather forecast, I think we're going to have some snow on the ground for a while, which I'm all here for that because I'm from Atlanta originally and I love the snow. So here's the checklist of what you need to do this week. You do not have to come to class until January 15th. Oh, here's my buddy. Come here, bud. I will not get to bring my dog. This is Spike. I will not get to bring my dogs to class, so it's a nice thing to have in here. Hey, Bubba. He sounds like he's snoring all the time, but that's just because they have breathing issues. So you don't need to show up to class until Wednesday, January 15th. We're gonna start class at 4 o'clock. The first night we might not even have a screening. I might just kind of ease us into it and we'll like do a lecture. I'm not really sure yet, but we'll be in class definitely for probably plan on at least an hour and a half for sure. Um, I as I mentioned before, you need to do this syllabus quiz too. This is like a once at the beginning of the semester. You're not always going to have a bunch of online quizzes, but this week you've got a couple of quizzes that you need to worry about. A content quiz, which is going to be on this Black Mirror episode and actually part of this lecture. So, what's film appreciation, that kind of thing. A syllabus quiz, which, you're going to want to print your syllabus. You'll find that on eCampus, take that syllabus quiz. And then you need to find some time to sit down and watch this Black Mirror episode. It's episode 1 of season 3. Again, you can find it if you have access to your own Netflix account. If you can't, you can watch the bootleg video that I did on that I posted on eCampus. It's really just like I put a phone by a TV and record it away because, copyright and stuff. We're limited with what we can do. And the episode's called Nosedive. It should be about an hour. So plan on watching that for an hour. And then right after that, you can take this complete, you can do this short writing about film assignment on eCampus. I will give you a reminder about some of this on like I'll put like a little announcement so you can look at this checklist and go through it. So again, we don't meet at all, but you still have some work to do. And then I will see you on January 15th.